Hey everyone, welcome back to Pearls of Eden. Thank you for joining me. I am 𝔼𝕗𝔸𝕊𝕀𝕃, and today's topic that we're going to take a look at comes from Candace Owens. She has another awesome interview that makes you go, I love Candace Owens because she always asks thought-provoking questions. And today's episode, she had a Ray J and she had a trans woman. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, what is Ray J doing on the Candace Owens show? Well, honey, you know, Ray J is always reinventing himself and he's always got an agenda. And this time is to introduce one of his trans women that he has a part of his group, that he has a part of his little, I think he has a network, a television special. So this is his latest adventure. To kind of share her story, and of course Candace Owens shares her thoughts as well. And it gets really interesting because in this part of the interview they talk about mental wellness and is transgenderism, is that a mental disorder? Well, it gets a little dicey, as Candace Owens always and forever will speak her mind. So let's just take a look.
That people like that, because I've heard that in different statements, and once again is like crazy that as a trans person under the umbrella I'm just lumped with these people,
but maybe that's their perception.
But that's what I'm saying, that I don't identify.
Their perception of life.
And I get that you don't identify as that, but it is ideologically speaking the same thing. If we don't say that there is an objective reality, it would actually be better if a trans person said, I accept this is actually a mental disorder. I don't want to say to people, because by the way, people have other mental disorders. Bipolar. I got people have this.
That's why
schizophrenia.
Is there another word? Is there another word besides mental disorder?
But because it is okay, because this is, but I don't think this is triggering. I don't know why suddenly people are so triggered by this. It's your mental and something is out of order.
But it's because it's not real, Ken.
But some people don't like to eat food because they want to be.
Just give me 1 second. Let me just get through this, okay? It is, right? So there can be people, that's right, who have body dysmorphia. That is a mental disorder. You have people who are anorexic. I used to have anorexia. I had a mental disorder, okay? I was tiny and I was doing it as a control mechanism. I was very happy. In fact, the only way to actually get better was to accept that this is a mental disorder, okay? I don't have an issue with that term. I don't think it's a problem because at varying points in people's lives, your mental can get out of order. The issue when you don't acknowledge that it is a mental disorder and you instead just insist that like this is a normal thing and people are born this way means it becomes impossible to attack that person. Ideologically speaking, if you start making laws and saying this is real, then that guy who says I'm 63 years old and I believe that I am 12 on the inside, I never grew up, this is who I am, Peter Pan, send me to Neverland, and he molests another girl and he goes into court and he says, no, I'm 13. Objective reality is what I feel, right? It's how I feel on the inside. And I actually, Your Honor, feel that I'm actually 16.
That's against the law.
Now, here's a question.
Here's
a question.
But this is why we have to be a guard. And I'm speaking now on behalf of conservatives. We have to be a guard and we have to say objective reality exists, okay? Objectively speaking, bipolar, it's a disorder. Anorexia, it's a mental disorder. Transgenderism, body dysmorphia is a mental disorder. These are all mental disorders, right? And
no, anorexia is a mental disorder. Being trans is not a mental disorder. So we have to stick to the facts. It is not anorexia,
so if someone
and
believes
schizophrenia
they're fat
is
and actually they're skinny, you say you have a mental disorder.
I got a good question.
But you're saying that you are a male, you believe you're a woman, and that's not a mental disorder.
I'm just being specific. Trans and anorexia, mental disorder and not mental disorder. The APA, you only have to ask the APA. These are trained psychiatrists. And I understand that conservatives all want to say that's to fill an objective, but at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Well, they just updated that manual in the last couple of years. Like,
yes, exactly,
because it was literally a mental disorder.
But it was misinformation, and conservatives in the past...
And someday they'll update that same manual and they will say that minor attracted people, which is a term that they're tossing around now because they're saying it's offensive to call them pedophiles, and we should instead call them minor attracted people. Someday they're going to push to update the manual then, which is why I insist on being a guard against that.
And
there
that's
is
illegal
objective reality.
And I don't want that attached to anything to, what LGBTQ.
How do you feel about that? Talking about people saying I identify as a 12-year-old.
So what a conversation, right? It was so interesting. And Ray J is a mess all by himself. We already know that, right? But it was definitely interesting. And Candace Owens made a lot of valid points, because where do you draw the line? With Rachel Doaz, what was her name? I don't know. The woman that pretended to be black. She did the blackface. She said she felt black inside. She loved the culture. She said, hey, I'm a black woman. And she pretended, or she identified as a black woman until she got caught, right? And there were consequences. But then you can identify as a woman and be a man, and it's acceptable. So there's a lot that we could talk about, right? And, you know, they are pushing this minor youth attractions title label for pedophilia. And that is something we have to be very vigilant about, because what that is saying is that if you feel like a 12-year-old, even though you're 60 years old, even though you're 40 years old, even though you're a grown full person, let's just say that, if you identify as a 12-year-old on the inside, then there's nothing wrong with it, right? I have to respect that you like 12-year-olds, even though you're 40, 50, 60 years old, even though you're, you know, a grown person. You see where this is headed, guys? This is a slippery, slippery slope. And this is why we have got to not be afraid to sound our voices. You know, there's a lot of gaslighting. There's a lot of people that want you to remain silent. They threaten you in all kinds of ways, but you have got to be bold as a lion in this hour, because if you remain silent, they will keep pushing this agenda, and it will just lead to destruction. But those are just my thoughts. What are your thoughts? I would love to hear your opinions, but remember to keep the comments respectful. Everybody has a different perspective. Everybody sees things from a different lens, and we want to have conversations, not fights, not debates, conversations. So keep it respectful. All right, as always, I love you all to life. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being a part of this community. I love you to life, and God willing, I will see you soon tomorrow for another prophetic teaching. All right, guys, I love you. Bye.